Hello, Rachel.
Hi, Ryan.
How are you doing?
Not great.
I can hear the tears already forming in your eyes. It's hard to say goodbye to this season of Star Trek Discovery.
It's not hard to say goodbye. In fact, I've tried to say goodbye several times, and it clings on to me somehow.
There used to be Klingons in this show, but then they got rid of them because no one liked how they handled the Klingons in this show.
But at least they gave them hair before they left.
Ash Tyler had plenty of hair, so he really helped give that back to his people. Remember Ash Tyler? Do you remember Star Trek Discovery? Well, we're here today to talk about the 5th season of Star Trek Discovery, the last season of Star Trek Discovery. We have watched it all, and now today we're here to take a moment and reflect, look back on it, and talk about what we have garnered now having rewatched it and reviewed it all. We are YumYumPodcast because of that iconic line of dialogue, Yum Yum. And everyone at this point, you know about that line. You know who says it. You know what it means to us. So let's just cut through that and get to the heart of the matter here, which is, Rachel, how are you really doing?
You know, I want to be done. I don't want to give any more energy to Discovery. I've had enough.
So much? Too much Yum Yum energy coursing through your veins? Well, how about we talk about the 5th season of Discovery, which everyone watched, everyone loved. It was the best season, according to someone. Oh, Julio, it was you. You said it was the best season. So we're going to now talk about how great of a season it was. What are your overall thoughts on Discovery?
It sucked. It was boring. It wasn't even fun in the way that it was bad. What about you?
5th season was a lot more lifeless than I remembered it being.
Limp.
It really felt a lot more energetic when we first watched it because maybe there was a bit of that, oh, this is new, we don't know where it's going, yet we do know where it's going because we've seen the series before and we know how they write things. But after season 4, anything looks like a step up for a show because season 4 was so drab, so just dour and like that was a lifeless season. But revisiting this, my general thoughts on this season is it's lifeless and frustrating. Frustration is the thing that I keep coming back to because we say it a lot. Discovery has the pieces. It has the ideas. It has the characters. It has the production. But it never executes them. It just leaves them there as this figment that you think about more than they themselves did.
Yeah. I really have forgotten so much of this.
How could that be?
So much.
Why is it such a forgettable season? It's the last one. Shouldn't that mean that it hits in a way?
Part of, this is not a good season of television. It's a very boring season of television. And so much of it feels like filler. Because it is so tightly focused on the scavenger hunt for the progenitor's tech. And we aren't a fan of the idea of the progenitors. We aren't a fan of Discovery scavenger hunt. We aren't a fan of mystery box storytelling in general. We are not a fan of any of the characters that are mainstays in the crew that are here for this season. And even some of the ones that we don't hate, we didn't particularly enjoy this season.
They weren't around to hate. That's also another option. Or to like. Is this not just a bad season of television, but is this a good final season or a bad final season of a show?
Of a show, yes, it's bad. Of Discovery, that's a more interesting question to me because it is reflective of the whole show. It is a scavenger hunt, which is the format that they have been utilizing. They had the pattern of the rotating captain's chair, and now it's the number one that gets swapped out. That's still here. We still have our regular crew and a lot of interpersonal problems that are tied to intergalactic politics.
Interesting. Because I don't agree. I don't agree with that statement. There is no interpersonal conflicts this season. For a show that we have often railed against for having it, this doesn't even bother to have it. They, at best, look towards that and say, remember that those exist. That's why there was so much of a fraud. Here's the thing. I think this is a terrible final season of a show. But you can't hold it against it too heavily because they didn't know it was going to be the final season, correct? We understand that it was cancelled and then they had to wrap it up as quick as possible. So I can forgive that. But what I cannot forgive is Discovery, for all of its faults, and there are many, it started out swinging for the fences. And some of those swings were very bad, and they missed them quite a lot. But they were attempts. There was ambition. There was a drive. There was an energy. And that went away after a certain point in the series. After you exchange 15 showrunners, how can there still be passion? And that's what I think of with the final season of Discovery is it's passionless. And it feels like when you wrap up a show, sometimes, at least I do, I think about how did we start? And how does that contrast or compare to how we end? And Discovery, it's a case of, remember when there were people in front of the camera and behind the camera who wanted to say stuff? Maybe too much stuff, but they wanted to say stuff. And then you end the season of the series and no one wants to say anything. They're just here to cash their check. They're here to do a job. They're here just to get through it.
I want to talk back a little bit with that. And it's not a great example, but it technically is one, which is Saru and Tarina's conflict within this season. There's a couple of scenes where it's just my personal needs versus the needs of the many kind of thing. And Saru volunteering himself for missions. That's interpersonal conflict linked to politics.
Would you? You would. That's a passing grade.
No, it meets the technical criteria. That's the only thing that I was thinking of, and that's the only thing that I can think of that really meets that, because Burnham's problems with Book are not related to his crimes,
Really.
and isn't related to the political implications of those crimes. It was really just Saru and Torino that I was thinking
But
of when
it
I
is
said that.
interesting that you feel the need to bring up something to the surface to fight back against me, because what I'm saying is very cynical, and very cynical, saying like this season is empty, basically, that there is nothing.
Yeah.
And
And
you
I
want
agree
there to
with
be,
you.
but you want, like I do too, you want to go like, no, guys, what about Book and Michael, or Tarina and Saru?
So their ship name?
Yes, Serena Williams was in this season. Will Smith just won an Academy Award, and she thought, I better start acting myself. There are these characters that have things like, oh, Raina as a character exists, and he's a bit of a stick in the mud, but it's like, I don't know how to further describe it than what I've said, which is just, yeah, they said them aloud, but they didn't really sink their teeth into it like they did with any of the other material, like with the progenitors and the ramifications of said things, or the Breen and the possibility of war, and these things happen, but they don't actually happen in a story sense, in a thematic sense, in a meaningful sense.
And, on Discovery, we always send Burnham on the big missions, the big ideas, the big themes, and it felt like, wow, there's nothing much that's bigger than that we can think of.
Sorry, has Discovery ever had a small mission?
Not really.
I feel like every mission's been a big mission.
Yeah.
It's true. Building just like bigger.
Like the fact that they destroy the tech and go, nobody should have that power. For it to be sort of satisfying narratively, I would say that there has to be substantial changes that happen to the characters as a result of the journey that they've been on, for it not to be the reward of, beating the villains to
a MacGuffin,
that they need to learn something. And they keep on telling us that, they've each of these things has taught us a lesson about unity, but it's really the same lesson, and it's the one that is a foundational aspect of Starfleet and the Federation, because they are functionally the same thing in Discovery. They're not two unique organizations.
Yeah, and we always keep coming back to it, which is, and you can say it's the progenitors, you can say it's the burn, you can say it was the Red Angel, whatever the thing is, the concept or the thing itself isn't terrible, but the journey through it is, because the characters should have more insights, personality, wisdom, thoughts, opinions on said thing that should evolve and change and be challenged throughout the episodes in the season. But none of that happens until the final 2 seconds. It actually really makes me think of, and I'm not doing this just to be funny, but it makes me think of the old era of YouTube movie criticism with stuff like a Nostalgia Critic, where they would go through a movie and they're reviewing it, but you don't actually know what their opinion is until the last bit of it, where they say like, yeah, you know what? It's a little silly, but overall, it's got a lot of heart and it's fairly good. And you're like 40 minutes later, you got to that.
Recaps with jokes than an actual review.
Or, focusing on the things that don't matter. And that's what this series does, and this season did a lot of, where it's like, at the end, the characters like Paul will go like, oh, you know what? I was wrapped up with my legacy. I'll think again. Or Hugh being like, the mystery is what's important. But what about the other episodes? How did these opinions evolve? How did anything get traction to this stuff? It's because Michael just made a decision at the end, which was the decision of do right thing or do wrong thing. Of course, they did right thing, and everyone said, oh, yeah, that was the right thing. I realize.
It's a little weird that this season overall feels like the middle scene in a story arc, but almost all of the scenes within the show are the beginning or the end of a plot.
It was the weird writing trick of the final season, was having the beginning of a plot and an end of a plot, but no actual plot.
No development.
No actual meat in between those buns. It was just bread. Here, have bread. But what about the stuff in between to make a sandwich?
They made us the idiot sandwich.
Yeah, they made us the idiot sandwich. We're ragging on the season. But how about we take some time and think about our favorite moments? Were there any favorite moments of the season? I think you're giving me a dirty look because you probably don't have any, but I think that's unrealistic because we started out liking some episodes, or at least finding the diamond in the rough with them. So I do want to know, what were some of your favorite moments of the 5th season of Discovery?
I don't remember any genuine ones at this point. I was trying to take a look through my notes to see if I had any, and since I was looking at the second half of the season, all I saw was snark. So I'm trying to remember some positives that are like genuine.
Rachel comes prepared, as we see. I remember things, of course.
Well, you always remember things.
The writers hate that about me. I think that in this, it is. I think one of the major positives was they let Wilson Cruz get to act during the season. I loved seeing him play the embodiment of Janal. I thought that was really fun. I liked his voice. I liked his mannerisms, his posture, the cocky swagger that he had to him. That was really great to see. I also liked the moments with with Hugh and Michael. There was a couple of them during the season, and they're two characters that we haven't really had much time together with, even though they've stressed, especially since the first season, that they were best friends, but we never really got to see that. But this season, I thought it was nice that they actually showed a bit more of a working relationship, as well as one where we got to kind of soak in that they do share a lot of the same problems as people. Like, they are people who cannot sit still. They need to know the answer. They're very analytical people. I like that stuff. But Rachel, I see that you're scrolling through your notes, trying to determine if there's anything. But isn't that the damning thing? You can't, after having rewatched the show and reviewed it, like, it's not just you've rewatched it, you've had to talk about it as well. You can't say what was a favorite moment of the season.
No, I can't. One that popped up in my notes was the ridiculousness of Action Saru. Because the introduction to that was weird.
Jet Reno calls him that, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
He ran again. He ran really fast again this season. It was a payoff to the setup of them doing it that one time in season 1 and saying that looks stupid. And then they said, nah, let's bring him back for the 5th season because that's really funny to do. For Saru's last mission, he just runs real fast again. It could have come in handy any other time, but nope.
No. Oh, the boil their cakes thing was kind of nice. The cultural differences with Raina that come up in that episode.
I like that they came up throughout the season.
Yeah.
Little cultural differences and touchstone points for the characters, but specifically for Raina.
I don't need to know how the cake is boiled, Commander. Kill her and boil their cakes?
Don't knock it till you try it.
I'm not going to sit here and just watch you scroll through your old notes to try and determine what are favorite moments, because we get it. You don't have any. Bravo. Like, congratulations. There was nothing that was good for you in the season, but what were the things that was so terrible that they leapt out?
A lot of them, like, it's kind of blurred together into a brown mess. What was particularly egregious? Oh, what was that word that we really latched on to Michael saying?
Breen.
Breen.
Her saying Breen like she's been haunted by a ghost.
And then I was thinking of a different one.
Oh, there was the one in Labyrinth where she talked about her duty and rank, and she sounded like she just had food poisoning. There was
Maybe
that.
that was one. Tilly's crush is really stupid. That moment from the beginning, not when he appears at the wedding. As maybe Tilly's +1. We don't know.
Maybe she got married too, and we just didn't see it.
Adira getting dumped. Like the scene where that actually happens.
And how they try to make Gray seem still like a good guy.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Gray's a shitty guy. He sucks.
Oh, the fact that Raina's character arc is him sitting down in a chair.
But he's the greatest addition to the series. Because he counters Michael, and then at the end, he's all Team Michael. We've never seen this type of character ever in Discovery before. It's unique and special. Meanwhile, Admiral Vance is getting to say lines as well.
Yeah, he refers to his daughter.
Rillick doesn't even get to show up in this season that much because she just loves Michael so much that she just can't be here.
No. Oh, fuck. There was one.
Yes.
There was a moment with Book.
There's many. I have one solid, like,
That
my
was
least favorite thing of the season.
really fucking stupid.
Well, that narrows it down. He had a lot. What about the fact that he said it was peace times? And that's why we should have access to the technology, even though he has tried to exterminate an entire race of people. He was a slave. He was a rogue criminal. Like, all of these things within the last 2 years happened to him. And the society around him necessitated all of these things. Yeah, but it's peace times. It's fine. It's
fine.
like saying after the First World War, like, hey, that was the war to end all wars, so we should totally be allowed to have weapons of mass destruction just because we would never use them. It's fine. You know, the war ended all wars, so it's great. It's fine. Let the Germans have them. It's fine. Let them use this gas. It'll be fine. I have one thing. I stripped it all down to its base elements, and I said, what was the thing that I liked the least of the season? And shock of shocks, it is not that they didn't explore the progenitors stuff the way I wanted to. Because you have to get past that. Like, it was hard to get, like, I didn't get past it, but there's a part of me where it's like, well, they didn't do it. What did they do that I didn't like? It was Michael having to apologize and come to terms with that she didn't do enough for Book last season, and that she needed to be the one to fix the relationship, and he needed to be the one that needed to accept her apology. I'm not a Michael fan, clearly, but even as someone who's not a fan of this character, that's fucking bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. It is just this fucking fake drama to put onto her, to have her have a complex and have her have an adversity to overcome and realize within herself. It is absolutely despicable. He committed war crimes, basically. Like, he activated a weapon that destroyed a whole segment of space. He was going to help genocide and wipe out an entire species of people. He was a traitor. And Michael extended her hand out to him many times over and was considerate and was trying to think about both herself as an officer and as a partner. And he swatted that away each time. And then this season comes around and says, "Oh, Michael, you should apologize because you didn't do enough." Fuck you. Fuck you, season 5. Like, I can't believe I'm sitting here saying, you're being unfair to Michael, writers. But you are. It is. It's them being unfair to Michael because this is the only way they can think of having Michael overcome something, because she doesn't need to overcome anything else because she's smart, she's a go-getter, she's the leader, she's trusted, she's respected, and she's an awesome fighter. So there's nothing that's a struggle to her. So let's dig deep into the well of interpersonal drama. Oh, that's right. Her and Book had some relationship drama last season. What was it? I don't know. It's probably her fault, though. Also, not enough grudge this season. Really felt the lack of grudge.
Yeah, they don't show her much. They do refer to her. Are we in agreement that, like, Janelle the best episode?
Wow. One of the lowest rated episodes of the season could be our favorite.
Yeah.
I still kind of liked Whistle Speak as well, which is also the other lowest rated episode, and even our guest didn't like it. I don't know. As we've gone further into the season, I genuinely don't care about the time bug episode. Like, that was the one where when we watched it the first time and getting into it's like, well, that was the best episode, clearly. But now, here we are, and I haven't really thought about it that much.
No, it was fun, but it wasn't, like, a long-lasting kind of enjoyment.
Why Janelle for you?
Well, it's one that I remember being, like, I enjoyed the scavenger hunt aspect of that one. I found the Adira stuff bad, but in a fun way, because it was just really stupid.
It was handled so poorly that it was actually thought-provoking of how badly they handled it.
Yeah. So we were engaged in the episode at various points. Wilson Cruz got to act.
Saru and Tarina got to be in the show.
Book got to use his empath powers in a useful way. And Raina got a little bit of something to do back on the show.
Yeah, him and Tilly were back
him
and forth.
Tilly.
Doing I think that was the one where they're doing the meetings in a certain amount of words limit. Don't get me wrong. Janelle was my favorite of the season. I liked Janelle because even the bad elements of it did make me think, did make me feel, because that's the stuff that is the killer of any show for me, is when they leave me apathetic, when they leave me numb and uncaring and like when they make me not think or feel. Discovery's guilty of that very much, but Janelle was not one of those. But I think I'm going to go with Whistle Speak because it had a lot more of the trappings of Star Trek and science fiction things that I like. Yet it also fumbles the ball. But also, I can't help but think of Janelle and like how a large part of it is shot for day for night in a quarry fighting an invisible monster. And I'm like, that's so lame.
Yeah.
But then Whistle Speak, like the things it fucks up in such a beautiful way. It's like, it's called Whistle Speak, but then our characters never have to whistle speak.
They just
and
hear
you're
it.
like, why did you miss that? How did you miss that? Who are you, writers, where your whole thing is Whistle Speak and then it never matters in the story? Like, it's a cool detail, but you name the episode after it and you don't even utilize it. But here I am, I'm getting passionate talking about that.
A Prime Directive episode of all things.
I'm not a huge lover of Prime Directive episodes. They're always just middle of the road for me, but I thought it was an interesting quandary. The handling of spirituality and faith was both good and bad in the episode. So for me, whistle speak kind of ekes out over Janelle, but also Janelle did have Wilson Cruz getting to have a fun time on the screen. Like, he really was fun in that episode, and it is just a further reminder that they never used him as an actor in this show. Like, until Janelle, I didn't even know that Wilson Cruz could play fun. You know, like, I didn't realize that was something in his arsenal as an actor, because I'm really not that familiar with him outside of a handful of other roles. And when you watch seasons and seasons and seasons of him in one show, you're kind of focused on what they can do in that one show. And we never have seen him do something like that before. And it just makes you go, I wish we got to see that more often.
Keep up. You have a lifetime. I only have a few hours. Wow. This guy really works out.
For a season, that can be a bit of a blur because not a lot happens in it. So it's hard to remember things distinctly. Do you have a least favorite episode? Is there an episode to you that you just like, that was the one that I liked the least, and why?
The one that leaps forward is Labyrinths. Because it's just so filled with stupidity. And it's like the final clue, and, you know, you've got this mindscape that Burnham's in. Book gets the world root. Raina does stuff. I can't even remember.
He's dealing with the brain. Oh, he went inside the library for some reason as well. I don't even know why he did that.
Wilson Cruz got to squat.
Oh, that was a squat episode.
Kooky librarian. Fucking hell.
It sounds like a cocktail of things that just did not sit well with you.
Yes. You. What about you? What was your
least? No. Before you pass it over to me, I want to know more, like, why out of all of these episodes did Labyrinth stick out more than others that did similar things? Like, you went through, like, the things that things that were in it that were bad for you, but, like, how was it more so than anything else? Like, like, did you hate the episode, or did you loathe it, or did you feel indifferent? Like, where does it sit?
I think a part of why that one stands out is because I really like the idea of a library repository that is secret and floats through space. I think that's really cool. And they're fucking wasted.
I can't help but agree that it's Labyrinths. Because that was the one where Michael had to, in her mindscape, realize that she needed to give Book more of a shot and that she didn't do enough. And you had the revelation of, it's my mind. It's like, yeah, you knew this, and so did I from the very beginning. So it's not much of a revelation, is it? It's also an episode that breaks the show because the time bug episode showed us for a fact that Mole and Locke managed to get all of the puzzle pieces. But when you actually think about the Labyrinths episode, there would be no way they would succeed at that puzzle piece. Those characters would never have succeeded at that. So how did they? And the show doesn't want you to remember that. It doesn't want you to think about that. It just wants you to accept it.
Don't look at that.
It's an episode where, when we talked about it, we had so little to say about it that I agreed that we should end it early because it was such a nothing. Those are the episodes I hate. Mirrors made me genuinely angry, but Labyrinths filled me with apathy.
Lagrange Point was also really bad.
The penultimate episode.
Yeah, with all of the Breen shit and Mole becoming a fucking
Primarch.
Yeah.
You really liked Jonathan Frakes' wonderful direction in that episode. The framing of shots, the cutting, the spinning.
It's a
You really
real
like
challenge not to throw up watching that episode.
It was a real challenge to remember that Jonathan Frakes has been a good director and of Star Trek before. And also he plays the beloved character of William T. Riker. Like, you have to remember that in your mind.
Yeah, like, he's beloved, but I wouldn't say that Will's either of our, like, favorite.
But you like Will Riker.
Yeah.
You like him, and Frakes is a part of why you like him. So it's upsetting to get
As
angry
long
at
as he's
Frakes.
bearded.
As long as he's bearded. Oh, yeah. If he's unbearded, then it's bad. If he's
Well-
bearded, it's great.
Who do you like this season for Discovery? Who's your favorite character in this?
You're wiggling the eyebrows.
Because it feels like a challenge to find somebody.
I'm having a look through the catalogue of people who mattered in the season.
Mm-hmm.
Can I choose Taka because he
No.
single-handedly destroyed Paul's entire career and character without even being in the season?
Mm-mm.
But it does hang over the season.
Yeah, it does.
This is like
you
an
need to
unresol-
choose somebody who's credited as appearing
By the way,
in this
completely
season.
bonkers that Taka fundamentally changed the lives of 3 of the characters of the show, Michael, Book, and Paul, and yet he is never referenced in the season directly. You just have like, oh, because of what happened last season, the spore drive, but it is actually crazy that they never actually say Taka's name, ever. It's actually insane, especially with Book. But if I had to choose a favorite character, can I say David Cronenberg? Not the character, the actor, David
Yeah.
Cronenberg, because
I will accept that.
I like how, talk about apathy, I actually like his apathy.
Yeah, I appreciate his apathy.
All jokes aside, I actually do genuinely like Kovic as a character. I think David Cronenberg's off-kilter performance style is a breath of fresh air in a cast of people who have become very much in a certain rhythm
Complacent.
of melodrama. He feels like an actor from a different generation because he is. He's a director and he's older than most of the other people, but like there's just a certain energy that he brings that no one else brings to this show. And the show, because he's a mysterious character, knows that we can only have him in small piece, like small he's a small treat.
Yeah, they
each
don't try
season.
and overdose us on Kovic.
One of the things that I kind of love and hate about Deep Space Nine is those side characters, and Garrick is one of the best side characters because you didn't know too much about him and you didn't get him all the time.
Yeah.
But in the later seasons, Garrick actually became less interesting because you got more of him and they didn't know what to do with him. So there was stretches of the show where he was a guy on the Defiant at the console pressing buttons, and I would always think, why are you doing that? Don't do that. I don't want to see Garrick at the console pressing buttons like he's a Jadzia Dax. And that's what I worried about with Cronenberg, because he was so much more involved in the season with the Red Directives, and he was their boss, and we were getting meetings with him. But I really do appreciate that the season stepped away from him after a certain point. They just stepped back and just went, okay, he gave us the outline of what the show's going to be, and now Kovic is fading in the background, and we'll come to him every now and then, but not too much. Like, I give Discovery shit, but they actually had restraint when it came to this mysterious character, and then they revealed he was Agent Daniels, and so fuck me.
Yeah.
Fuck me. I love Agent Daniels. My favorite character of Star Trek Discovery's 5th season was Agent Daniels.
What a place to be, Ryan. What a place to be. So it's a struggle to get to the top of the list of characters. 2 kind of come to mind as being ones that I'm like, I don't 100% hate you, but I don't like you either. And one of them is Locke. Because I understand where he's coming from, what he wants, and why he's doing what he's doing. And he's always consistent in that. they mess with Mole and make her smart or dumb depending on the requirements, but he is consistent in the way that he is dumb.
The performance is also very good. He works through that makeup. He's a very stoic character, but even the makeup is hard too. But he shows a lot of emotions through it as a character and as a performer.
Inflections in particular give away a lot when it comes to his character and how he's feeling.
Body language, the way his head tilts, the shoulders, how they slump, like he's very good.
Nuances to his performance that feel like they're there because of him as an individual, as a performer, not because of the script or because of the direction.
You know he's a good character because when they took him away, it was actually a detriment to the show itself.
But I
think it was a huge mistake. I think it was a huge mistake. He's
still there as a lifeless body too.
I think it was a huge mistake that they killed him. And they killed him so early. Maybe if it was in the penultimate episode, and then you can. But they killed him relatively early in the show, and then you're just left there with nothing to replace it. But who was your other one that you were thinking of? You said to kind of float to this place.
I'm second guessing it now because I'm like, do I have a reason that they rise to the top as this sewerage slop of a season? I guess. So the other one that I was thinking of was Raina.
Wow, really? You've been anti him all the way through. What the hell? Okay, everyone, you better sit back and listen to Mama Rachel explain why she's got the sexy Cylon as the choice here. I'm genuinely fascinated.
No, because he came to mind as being one that I was like, I don't absolutely hate you. And then I was just like, but can I think of anything that I like? No. So I don't know. That's why I was patting for time, because I was just like, do I actually have any reason that I like him?
I'm similar with Hugh in that way. I was going to say Hugh because he actually got stuff to do, but then I was like, but did I like it? Actually?
No, I'm like, I don't actually like anything that they do with Raina. I like the idea of him, but not the actual presence of him and the execution of his characterization and involvement in the plot.
Is he an Edward or a Jacob? Raina. Because you said I like the idea of him, and it made me think of you as a preteen girl with Twilight. Which is he? Is he an Edward or a Jacob? Genuinely, which one is he? I think he's an Edward.
Yeah.
I think he's an Edward.
Yeah, support that.
Who's the Jacob of this show? It's Ash Tyler. Why am I even asking?
I was also thinking Book.
Yeah, is Ash, Edward, and Book is Jacob?
No, but...
Well, no, because Book actually ends up with her, so that's different. Also, I hope Book's not gonna fuck her baby. I hope that's not a thing he does.
Because here is this poetic conclusion that ties everything together in this overarching way, but with the gentlest touch.
I just want to quickly rattle off that Gray is a really bad character in this season.
Yeah, I actually was going to give a little honorary. I was going to give a little honorary evil character section. Let me give my little honorary. These characters were despicable, slimy, evil characters, and not the intention from the writers of that, which is Gray. They're just a shitty person, a shitty partner. They're very selfish. They never sacrifice anything for Adira. They are very much a taker. They're not a giver. So there's one of the evil people. Another one I just want to throw out there is Zora, because Zora made a holographic, creepy version of Hugh's dead grandmother and puppeted around for grief counseling, and I'm supposed to feel okay about that. And that's an extension of Zora, so I don't like Zora. Zora's a weird little shit. Sorry to some of our previous guests who have sung the praises of Zora, but as an Aussie, I can also acclaim that just because there's an Australian computer in Discovery doesn't mean I like her very much. So fuck Zora, she's evil, and she has like sphere data knowledge and never comes up because they forgot. They forgot, and it's too powerful and they're stupid. And the last evil character, I just want to say it because I don't want us to forget about this evil character, okay? We should never forget the great evil character of Locke's uncle, the evil Primarch who shouted a lot and wanted to blow up a library. He died. I really hated him because he was such a nothing. Like none of it made any sense. But my true least favorite character of the season, the one that I just kept coming back to, first place, without a doubt, Tilly?
Yeah.
Tilly because
Tilly falls to the bottom.
Tilly because
they make a big deal about her being back and like it's important, and then she does nothing and she's just really annoying.
That's it. You said everything I wanted to say. You absolutely got it. I was going to choose Adira, but then that would indicate that they were a character in the season, and they didn't really give much time to Adira.
Yes.
So it would feel disingenuous to say my least favorite character was Adira because that would indicate that they were a character. Tilly was a character. They took up time, but they didn't do anything. Like, they took up a lot of time. They gave a lot of knowing looks.
But they realized that they need a mentorship program.
A lot of Tilly's stuff was to do backdoor piloting for the Starfleet Academy show. And I hate when shows do that, when there's like, we're going to waste time just letting you know other shows will exist.
Backdoor pilot.
I really am not a lover of that stuff. But Rachel, who were your least favorites of Discovery's 5th season?
Oh, I really did not enjoy Grey. It was just annoying. Adira was really annoying there. Pseudo plot about lacking confidence was a whole bunch of bullshit.
Can I press you on that?
Yeah.
You know, and feel free to, say no, but you're someone in life who has had to deal with being in leadership positions, but also having the feeling of imposter syndrome, anxiety, and, confidence, something you have to figure out. You've had to go through that. So in a weird way, Adira should be someone that you could relate to, and you should actually see yourself, like you specifically could see yourself in.
Yeah.
Was that the case ever?
No.
And why not? Like, genuinely, like, because they're trying to do that, but then it's not there.
Yeah, because it comes out of nowhere, and at no time do we see any reason for them to not have complete and utter confidence within themselves and their skills.
And even if you take it at like face value of like, oh, the character is feeling lack of confidence in themselves, they don't tell a story with it. They always just have Adira being like, oh, geez, I'm feeling down. And then someone says, no, you're brilliant. And then that's it. And I can't speak for you, but I know from the moments where I've had this, that's not how it works. Like, it's not you tell me I'm brilliant and then that switch is flipped and now it's all good. Like, you actually have to have a journey.
If the struggle is coming from an internal source, it's complicated. It takes a long time to unravel. It's not as simple as somebody saying good job and then you're cured of your doubts.
The writers whether it's the Discovery or the Picard writers, they always want to tap into these struggles, these anxieties, and I praise them wanting to do that, but it always feels like it's written by people who don't have a single clue about what those things are. They just know they exist, but they don't actually know what imposter syndrome is. They don't actually know what anxiety is. They don't know what depression is. They don't know what it's like to be broken up with. Like with Adira, it's like it's written by people who have never been broken up with, and they don't know what that is.
No,
like they know that it exists, but they don't know it. They haven't experienced it.
No, I do still sort of respect the way that they try and deal with that breakup of being like, this isn't working for either of us right now, but that doesn't mean that we don't want a relationship. It just means that a romantic relationship isn't serving us right now.
A part of that journey was for Grey to offer an open relationship.
Yeah, that was a step taken.
That was a step taken.
Oh, God. But my number one least favorite character is also Tilly, just to clarify. Well, I said why I think she's the worst, and you agreed.
But as a teacher, how did you not relate to her? She talked about her struggles and her experiences and her expertise as a teacher. You surely should have got a lot out of that.
No, I didn't. And you made me talk about that during episodes. So I don't feel the need to rehash it right now.
It is astonishing though, right? Where we just went through how they don't feel like they actually know these struggles. Okay, so what do the showrunners and writers know? These characters are their jobs. Be all and end all. Star Trek can very much fall into that pattern of who are the characters? The first thing that you may describe is their job. Like, you could describe, like, their personalities, but a lot of times you could just be like, oh, Tom Paris, he's the guy that flies the ship real good. The Doctor is a doctor. Like, these are the things. And Discovery is very much like that. It's like, they're an engineer, and an engineer, and an engineer. But
everybody's a fucking engineer.
But remember, Hugh's a doctor, not a physicist.
Okay.
But I raise this because it's hilarious that with Tilly, their whole thing is she's a teacher, and it's written by people who don't know what being a teacher is like or have any kind of point of reference. It's just them saying, oh, I have students who feel bad and it makes me feel bad.
And I want my students to be good. How can I make them good?
It's not like that. It's not as just two-dimensional as that. Like, I'm not a teacher. I live with you, and I know it's more complicated than that. Like, the thought process, the mentalities that you go through, just you could replace the word students with colleagues, and you could replace her job with manager, and it would be the same. It would be no difference.
She's thinking about leaving the academy to take a position on a cargo vessel, and she wants to know if I think she should do it.
So what are you going to say?
Stay, don't go, I don't know. And she wants to leave at all. And she's not the first. We're not giving the cadets what they need. I don't know what the problem is.
Were there any actual big surprises, twists, turns, reveals, things that impacted you with season 5?
None in a positive way.
Yeah, not even in a negative way.
There were a lot of what the fuck. Like, Burnham being like, I owe Book an apology. That was very what the fuck.
My big surprises came more from not what the fuck, but so they didn't do that surprises instead. Like, I thought they were going to do that. I guess not. Like, it was more of a surprise of, they didn't do that? Seems like they would have. Interesting. Like, that's where it kept coming from. It's never like a surprise like, Mole and Locke, oh my God, one of them's dead and that changes everything. It was more, well, I guess they're not going to make Mole an interesting character. Okay, weird. I guess that's an option. Or the progenitors. Surely a show that's so fascinated with religion and spirituality and faith and theological, surely it will get into that with this. Nope. What a weird, like, it was a surprise in a weird way. It's like, oh, down to the stupidest little things like Fred. First episode, they're like, we have Fred's body. Fred can be reactivated. There's more we could do with Fred. Oh, Fred never comes up again. Never even referenced again. And it's one of those things like, oh, I guess they aren't going to do anything with that. Okay, a bit of a weird choice there. Okay, surprise, I get. Like, that's where it comes from for me, is just like, oh, they didn't do this.
I know that we gave a lot of enthusiastic Yum Yum moments over the course of the season. But in the blandness of it all, I'm like, what one would I say is like the Yum Yum moment of the season? Because I feel like a bunch of them were because we had fun reacting to it when we were watching the episodes and recording the reactions.
Yeah. Do you have anything? Or is this another, it's hard to conjure it up? Because I have a few standout moments of just, now that's Yum Yum, baby.
Already mentioned the Breen. Oh.
Green.
We mentioned in the episode Michael's Super Mario jump and superhero landings.
The finale, yeah.
Saru running.
Saru running is great. He shot his teeth out of his head again. His teeth darts.
Yeah. Tilly realizing that she's meant to die in that chamber.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you a couple of mine. The peacetime line, that's such a Yum Yum thing. It's like, well, that's absurd.
You
that's
fucking hated that in the best sort of way.
That was absolute unforgivable of them to put those words in that character's mouth out of all of the people. Another moment that was, oh boy, Yum Yum, was when Michael was doing her xenoanthropology thing and it was going really well, and then Tilly had to like undercut it with a joke, and then the joke didn't even happen, and then Tilly's like, I don't know where I was going with that, and it just completely ruined everything. And it's like, that's a Yum Yum.
Yeah, that was something that they did.
Yum Yum moment. But to me, and this is so weird because this is one of the times it's like I have to step back and say, it's actually quite silly, but it's true. The Yum Yum moment of the entire season to me is the fact that the Starship Discovery is on the high priority mission of collecting some Lego blocks and putting them together. That's what they had to do this season. They had to put together these ancient fucking Lego blocks.
Okay, with that being said, do I have to justify why this is a yum of a season?
Oh, of course you do, Rachel. But I just want to say this. Did it look like to you the thing that they were putting together with the Lego blocks? It always looked like it was a grenade to me, and I was always waiting for it to go off, and it never did, but it always looked like a grenade. It was just such a grenade shape. It looked like it was going to explode, and I know it wouldn't, but it just looked like it would.
No, I didn't get that.
Do you remember when they put the MacGuffin into the thing, and we got like that awful CGI POV of the keyhole, and it looked like an FMV game from the 90s? That's also a pretty Yum Yum moment for me. That's like, oh boy, where did the budget go for that one?
Oh no.
We both give the season, Rachel, a yum.
Yum.
This season is just a Star Trek Discovery season. Is this better or worse than any other? We'll talk about that when we get to next week on the recap of the series as a whole and we rank these motherfucking seasons. But the 5th season is what's on the tin, which is they're not interested in actually doing any of the science fiction stuff. They're not interested.
What was like the tagline in this season?
The tagline of the season was, "What does God need with a starship?" May as well. Here's the thing: the fact that Star Trek V actually had more to say about the core concepts that this season was looking at is so bad, because Star Trek V stinks. And I like Star Trek V, but it stinks. It's not a good movie.
No.
But it goes about telling.
It's fun though.
It is fun. They eat marshmallows.
This was not fun.
No, this was not fun at all.
This was not fun. But I enjoyed chatting with you for a little while, Ryan.
Just a little while.
Just a little while.
We shall.
A little bit over an hour of recording.
We shall be back next time to give our thoughts on the series as a whole. And you all better tune in for that, because that'll be the last time we talk about Star Trek Discovery on the podcast fully. We'll obviously reference it in other things we cover, but this
whenever
will be
I
the
say
last
context.
Time. Oh, yes. And it actually means, like, this show has impacted us, has changed our lives forever. It made this podcast happen. So everyone, please make sure to listen in to next week's episode, our final romp in the land of Star Trek Discovery, and we're going to knuckle down and go through our favorite characters, our least favorite characters, high points, low points, rank those seasons, and so much more. And I can't wait to talk to you, Rachel, about what has been our overall big takeaways about the show Discovery through rewatching it and podcasting about it. But that will be for next time. Everyone, make sure to support the podcast on Patreon. You get these episodes early, as well as access to our reactions to the episodes, as well as so much other bonus content. Share the show around, rate and review us, follow us on all of those social medias. But until next time, just remember this: Commander Nhan, the one who gave us the Yum Yum line, was here to the end. She managed to outlive other characters that were shown prominently as ones that would matter to the show, and she just managed to just keep outdoing them. She just endured because she had the Yum Yum inside of her.